It's impossible to pinpoint what exactly in reality, if anything, is being mirrored in our folklore. In some cases, it is a little bit easier to tell than others. Genetics can often cause humans to express anomalous phenotypes. So before our collective understanding of the world became more founded in science, people seemed to just place everything in the domain of myth and supernatural intrigue. Unfortunately, that put people with any kind of genetic condition in the path of bigotry and exploitation. I wanted to understand what in the real world might have influenced the myth of werewolves. There seems to be some version of this mythical creature across the globe. In order to get some clarity as to what in the real world sparked interest in this particular invention, I came across the condition known as hypertrichosis. Obviously, people with this syndrome are not monsters, they're just some human-ass beings covered in hair. I also came across one such person in the recent past that was treated anything but equal. And a quick disclaimer, there are a lot of different versions of this story, and there aren't a lot of documentations of it, but this is the most popular one, so this is the one I will tell.
In approximately 1834, Julia Pastrana was born in Mexico, completely covered in dark hair. She had thicker lips and gums that made it look like she had a second set of teeth. There are many different rumors about the early years of her life, since there are absolutely no records documenting her existence prior to her going to the United States in order to perform in an oddities show in 1854. While it's not sure exactly what happened prior, all of the rumors agree that she was sold to the circus, probably by a close relative. Even though slavery was illegal in Mexico at this point, the general public did not believe that people like Pastrana were actually human. According to some records, a custom official purchased Pastrana and brought her to the United States. While performing in New York, she met Theodore Lint. He became her manager shortly after. It is widely believed that Lint bought her from a previous manager. Around 1855, they actually got married. It is believed that this was also a power move on Lint's behalf in order to keep control over Pastrana and the income that she brought in. He thought that if they were married, she wouldn't be able to be bought out from underneath him, even if that meant more money for her. They toured together throughout Europe. She was advertised as Miss Julia Pastrana, the nondescript. Throughout the United States and Canada, she was also known as the Bear Woman and Baboon Lady. In Europe, she was described by newspapers and books as gorilla-like and revolting in the extreme. Despite that, her shows were incredibly popular. She was known to have sung Spanish songs sweetly, had slender hands and feet, and displayed a plump figure standing at only 4.5 feet tall. She styled her hair in elaborate coiffures, which is intricately braided hair, and wore embroidered lace dresses that barely covered her knees. Which is scandalous, I know. She spoke 3 languages, cooked and sewed. In her stage act, she would dance the Highland Fling. Many people remarked that she was truly a fine and eloquent woman, despite her appearance. Note that, despite. In 1859, Pastrana became pregnant by Lint while touring. Her infant inherited her hypertrichosis and she died hours after his birth in Moscow. Pastrana died from complications 5 days later. Hypertrichosis causes a person to grow excessive hair anywhere on the body. In severe cases, it can cause the entire body to be covered in thick, dark hair. It is almost always associated with teeth defects as well. People can be born with it, but also develop it later in life due to a medical condition. Congenital forms of hypertrichosis are extremely rare. There have been fewer than 50 documented cases globally since the Middle Ages. It is thought that in most people, the genes that caused extensive hair growth in humankind's very early ancestors are now inactive because people do not need to be covered in hair in order to stay warm anymore. Acquired hypertrichosis, which develops later in a person's life, has a range of possible causes. These causes might include malnutrition, cancer and cell mutation, autoimmune and infectious diseases affecting that particular area of the skin, chronic skin conditions, and increased blood supply in that specific area of the body. After the death of his wife and child, Lint sold the bodies to Moscow University for 500 euros, which according to our calculations is roughly about $2,450 US in 1859, and that is equivalent in purchasing power to about $76,829.64 in 2020. After they went through the embalming, their bodies were put on view to show the preservation process at the university's anatomical museum. Once the bodies were embalmed and stuffed, Lint decided that he actually could still make money off of the bodies, so he offered the university 800 euros as a repurchase. This was roughly about $3,920 US in 1859, which is equivalent in purchasing power to about $122,927.42 in 2020. Lint soon began showing the embalmed bodies of his wife and son at his stage act. He later married a bearded woman in Germany known as Maria Bartel. Maria Bartel's parents agreed to give her to Lint as long as he did not advertise her real name. When Bartel would perform alongside the bodies, Lint advertised her as Pastrana's sister, Zenora Pastrana. Some sources claim that Lint was eventually committed to a Russian mental institution where he later died in 1884. After his death, Pastrana and her son's body were exhibited globally, most recently by a Norwegian fairground operator in the 1970s. In 1976, thieves broke into the warehouse owned by the fairground's heir and stole the bodies of Pastrana and her son. The Norwegian police later found her remains in a trash bin with an arm dismembered. Sadly, the child's body was damaged beyond repair. The police then transferred Pastrana's body to the Institute of Forensic Medicine at the University of Oslo. This is where her body was placed into storage. In 2013, Julia Pastrana's body was finally returned to her birthplace in Mexico to be given a proper burial. The mistreatment that Julia Pastrana endured when she was trying to make the most out of her situation was absolutely horrible. People viewed her as an abomination of man and beast, and those that did actually care about her as a human being thought that capitalizing on her appearance and her qualified slavery was inappropriate to say the least. Francis Buckland, a British natural historian, wrote in an 1868 book that Pastrana was very charitable and gave largely to local institutions for her earnings. People are different. Some are covered in hair, some have no hair at all. Either way, it seems that the only way to avoid us exploiting and otherwise abusing one another is to observe the intrinsic equality in all of us. We are all the same material. The further you zoom out on the human experience, the more and more ridiculous our missteps and inability to observe what's right in front of us is.
If you take anything away from this silly video about a horrible tragedy, let it be that there are no real monsters. Only people, as scary as that might be. Also terrifying is our need for validation. Go like, subscribe, and donate to our Patreon channel, which is patreon.com/indiecarnival.